Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Continuing on with the series about Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson, what does a win over Shakur Stevenson do for Teofimo Lopez? Let me tell you something, man. Teofimo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson are outstanding fighters. They both deserve a lot of respect. But this right here is what I would call a rebirth moment for Teofimo Lopez. A win over Shakur wouldn't be just another win for Teo. This would be what he needs to help with reputation repair, to help resurrect his career. And I think it could be a narrative reversal. And all of this could happen in one night. There are a lot of opponents out there who could have given Teo one or maybe two of the aforementioned, but Shakur Stevenson can give him all three. Now, no matter what you think about Teofimo Lopez, when you talk about naturally gifted fighters, I can't help but compare him to Jerome Business and Roy Jones Jr. with the type of athleticism and athletic ability he brings in the ring every time he fights. One of the naturally gifted fighters, and probably the most naturally gifted fighters, one of this generation. But he's also one of the most questioned. You know what I'm saying? Fans don't doubt his talent. We know he can fight, but we have to doubt his consistency, the focus, reliability. If he can clip Shakur Stevenson, changes the conversation immediately. Overnight. So the fight is either about whether Teofimo Lopez is remembered as a flash in the pan prodigy, because he was a bad boy, as an amateur and when he turned pro, or he's just going to be seen as a dangerous, era-defining champion. And I think for Teofimo Lopez, he definitely wants to be an era-defining champion. But we're going to find out, because I think you have to kind of know who he is right now, and I think he's living in boxing limbo. On paper, you take a look at Teofimo Lopez, you would say, damn, it's going to be hard for somebody to beat a guy like this on paper. Former unified champion, was undisputed, beat Lomachenko, still young, very explosive, very fast, very powerful. But that's on paper. But the public perception is he's inconsistent, emotionally volatile. The question like, yo, what happened after Loma? And some people think he's a racist. I don't think he's a racist. I think he was trying to stir the pot, get a reaction. He has a wicked sense of humor, which we all have, but he did go overboard with the banana jokes and shit. But the bottom line is, that's the public perception of him in a nutshell. See, Teofimo Lopez is stuck between past greatness and future uncertainty. A win over Shakur is the kind of victory that forces everyone to admit, Teofimo Lopez, he still has it. He's still him. He's that guy. What they call him, El Gordo, right? But let me just make this clear. Shakur Stevenson, who I think should be the favorite, right? But he's the perfect opponent for redemption. And Teofimo Lopez has seized this opportunity. Shakur Stevenson represents everything Teofimo Lopez is accused of not being good at. He's not disciplined, they say. He's not consistent, they say. He's not technically perfect, and he's not emotionally controlled. Beating Shakur doesn't just prove skill, it's going to prove maturity for Teofimo Lopez. I think sometimes when these fighters get big wins, I think a message is sent. And with Teofimo Lopez, I think he kind of sends a message of, you know what, I didn't just out-muscle someone. I was able to outthink, outsmart the smartest boxer from 135 to from 130 to 147, or maybe the smartest boxer IQ-wise active at the moment. And that's going to give Teofimo Lopez all the credibility in the world. But I'm gonna be honest with you, y'all can give him all the credit in the world. You can give Shakur Stevenson all the credit in the world. I'm not one to do that. I try to really understand what I'm looking at here, and I just think styles make legends, and this shit's gonna boil down to power versus control, and it's the ultimate boxing test, in my opinion. For those thinking Teofimo Lopez lacks IQ, y'all are sadly mistaken. Teofimo Lopez is a very intelligent fighter. You don't get to the level where he's at, Shakir's at, all these guys are at, unless you have something special about you. Teofimo does. But this is the ultimate boxing test. For Shakur, you got control, you got distance, you got precision. For Teofimo Lopez, you got explosion, you got timing, you got violence. And he does have a little bit of, he has some precision and some timing. But I just think if Teofimo wins, it's going to validate that the aggression that he has shown in fights, that still matters. That power changes fights. And that boxing isn't just chess, it's warfare. A win here means Teofimo Lopez. You always hear Floyd talking about the Da Vinci Code. Nobody's been able to crack the Da Vinci Code. But Teofimo Lopez, if he can beat Shakur Stevenson, he would have cracked the hardest puzzle in boxing right now. Not the easiest. You know what I'm saying? And that would be a big feather in Teofimo Lopez's cap. Now, if he gets that done, I mean, you got to start really looking at this man's legacy. This is massive. What they say in the UK? It's massive. It's massive. This shit is massive, man. Beating Shakur would mean that Teofimo Lopez has beat Lomachenko, has beat Shakur Stevenson, has won at the elite level across eras. Not that hype. This shit is history. It's a real big deal, man. And I think it will move Teofimo Lopez because I think right now people see him as talented but kind of unstable, which isn't fair. And it would move him right to the dangerous when locked in. Because that's what he's going to have to be when he fights Shakur Stevenson. He's going to have to be locked in. And he's going to have to be dangerous. He'd have to give Shakur Stevenson something to worry about. Legacy is about peaks. And this would be one of the highest peaks in his career. And man, you just wonder, right now, I think 'tis the season for fighters to get scalped. Somebody going to get scalped. Clarissa Shields, she and Franchon Cruz are fighting. One of them going to get scalped. Shakur and Teo, somebody going to get scalped. Ryan and Barrios, somebody going to get scalped. You know what I mean? Scalps are being taken right now. But the bottom line is, if Teo can scalp Shakur Stevenson, this win rewrites the inconsistent narrative in one night. The biggest knock on Teofimo isn't ability, it's reliability. And you've seen that with other fighters, like Zab Judah. Everyone knew Zab Judah could fight. Everyone knew Zab Judah had power. He had speed. Just would he show up in shape? He was inconsistent. But when you got a Zab Judah that had the conditioning, couldn't beat that man. Zab Judah was just a special athletic specimen. But the conditioning. So for Teofimo Lopez, man, I just think with him being inconsistent, it's gonna show that he's very reliable. You know what I'm saying? And if he gets the job done. A Shakur win tells the boxing world when it matters, I show up. I can lock in against elite IQ and y'all were wrong to write me off. And he should be out there puffing up his chest talking this shit. Because Shakur Stevenson's a damn big deal. But the reality is inconsistency kills careers. Big wins resurrect them. I think Teofimo Lopez needs a big win. I'll be honest with you. I think he needs a bigger win than Shakur Stevenson because Shakur Stevenson and Zepeda, a lot of us had him written off. To see him fight the way he did, Shakur Stevenson is riding a wave right now. But not so much Teofimo Lopez. But maybe it's not about riding a wave. Maybe for Teo, maybe it's about just getting his confidence back. You know? If he can beat Shakur Stevenson, he'll get his confidence back. You see, Teofimo to me fights the best when he feels that he's unbeatable. When he fought Kome, when he fought Lomachenko, you could see there was no doubt in his mind about what he could do in that ring. But since he's been at 140, I've observed that he lacks confidence. He's questioning himself. And that's not good because you're getting there with Shakur Stevenson. If you don't have the self-belief, you're going to lose. So I think a good win against Shakur would reinforce his self-belief. I think would justify his confidence. I think would calm the noise in his head. And he wouldn't openly be asking questions like, do I still got it? But at the same time, he could take it to the stupid because now he becomes overconfident. He starts chasing knockouts, ignoring fundamentals, and then he gets his ass scalped again. And that's what he can't afford to happen. So great fighters learn to balance belief with discipline. This one would test whether Teofimo has learned that lesson, especially going forward. So worst case scenario, he takes a loss. Man, what a loss would have meant and why a win saves him. If Teofimo loses to Shakur, that whole what if label starts to grow at a very rapid rate. The Loma win will get minimized. The inconsistency narratives become permanent. So a win doesn't just advance him, it protects him from becoming a cautionary tale. This is a fork in the road fight for Teofimo Lopez anyway. He's got to win this fight. Worst case scenario, he better hope he gets a draw so he can live to fight another day. But if he loses, it's over. And that's why it's interesting to watch this and see how they perform under pressure, because that's what makes a great fighter, you know. And I think Teofimo Lopez has his own lens of how he sees what makes a great fighter, and the criteria that he's established. I think, you know, for Teo, he's like, great fighters have talent, focus, adaptability, emotional control, big wins under pressure. Teofimo Lopez has always had talent and confidence. What he's been missing is emotional stability, tactical patience. Beating Shakur means that he's found those missing pieces, and that is a big deal. And he's going to need that because if he can beat Shakur Stevenson, his next fight is going to be like a Subriel, a Hitchin. It's going to be somebody. Big name. Oh, no, he said he's going to 147, right? So he's going to 147. I mean, now you got to go to 147 and do the business. So we'll see how it all plays out. But, you know, what's interesting is I wonder where a Shakur win places Teofimo in the sport. If Shakur Stevenson is supposed to be the best this and the best that, and Teofimo clips him, what's that going to do for Teo? Y'all going to give Teo his credit? Because with this win, Teo becomes a top-tier name again, a dangerous opponent nobody wants, a real pay-per-view threat. It's going to force conversations like, is Teofimo better at his best than everyone else? Because you can say everyone at their best. If you get every fighter and you have them at their best, who wins? You know, if you get everyone and you look at their best performance and you say, okay, we take that version of a fighter, of fighters, and we match them up against each other. Who comes out victorious? And for Teofimo, man, I think that puts him in elite territory to where it'd be hard to go against him. Because we know if Teofimo locks in, he's a very difficult fighter to beat. But we'll see if he can get back to that elite territory. I think he's kind of hanging on, but he's not standing there, feet firmly planted on the ground, puffing his chest out. He's not there. But you got to understand the business and political impact. A win over Shakur raises Teofimo's market value, gives him leverage with promoters, and puts him back in super fight conversations. Promoters love volatility, they love personality, they love redemption arcs. Teofimo Lopez winning, that shit's going to be box office gold. Even out there for Turkey al-Sheikh, when Turkey's in the house, every day is Thanksgiving. If Teofimo can beat Shakur, it's going to put him right on Turkey's radar. Turkey's going to be like, you come back, fight later this year, they'll figure out who the opponent's going to be. It's going to be a big fight for big money. Hopefully Teofimo doesn't come out here and start taking it to the stupid and being complicated, because Turkey al-Sheikh, he doesn't care. That's one thing about Turkey Al-Sheikh. Don't waste my time. Strictly business, just like EPMD. So the final verdict for me, when it comes to Teofimo Lopez, a win over Shakur Stevenson would validate his talent, restore his credibility, rewrite his career story. The fight decides whether Teofimo is remembered as a moment in boxing history or a force in boxing history. And very, very interesting. It's a 50-50 fight in my opinion. But I just think Shakur Stevenson, boy, if Teo can beat him, his career will be reborn. This fight is either going to save or end Teofimo's legacy. And Teofimo has a real huge opportunity here to shock boxing. But we got to wait and see how it all plays out. If he can silence all the doubters. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents, man. Become a member to the channel. And just know I appreciate everybody, all right? Keep cool, I'm in the breeze.